Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss how to write a Python code to handle all general purpose exceptions. To understand the exception concept, see this code first. A assignment 20, B assignment 2, C assignment A division B. If you execute this, you will get the value of A division B. This is as usual, right? Now, see the code. When the B value is 0, what will be happened? See assignment A by B, where A value is 20, B value is 0. This is very simple program. With this, we can understand the exception concept. Let me run this program. Now you can see we are getting an error. This is called runtime error or exception. See, the type of the exception is division by 0. So here you must understand 2 points. First point is the runtime error is called an exception. In this program, the exception is occurred at third line. See assignment A by B. We are trying to divide a number with 0. That is an exception. And what happened if the exception is occurred in our program? When the exception is occurred in our program, it causes abnormal termination of the program. If you observe this, when the exception occurred in the third statement, the remaining statements will not be executed. The exception causes abnormal termination of the program. This is the problem with exception. Runtime error is called an exception. If the exception occurred, it causes abnormal termination of the program. Your program will not be executed successfully. Then what we need to do to complete the execution of our program even though the exception is occurred in our program? The answer is exception handling. With help of the exception handling, we can avoid the abnormal termination of our program. That is the purpose of exception handling. Now next question is how to implement exception handling. To implement the exception handling in Python, majorly we use 3 keywords. Those are try, except, finally. Then what we need to write in the try block, what we need to write in the except block and final block. See, in the try block, we need to write the code where we can guess an exception. For example, I am writing the code 10 by 0. There is a chance to raise a division by 0 exception, right? So that type of the statement, or you can say suspected code, you must write in the try block. Try, all are in lowercase, colon, and you must give the indentation because this is a block. So here in the third statement, the exception occur because we are trying to divide a number with 0. I want to execute the remaining code in my program even though the exception has occurred. For that, we need to write one more block called except. Sixth statement, except. And exception is a exception class. This is a class which is used to handle the exceptions. And all the exception classes are subclasses for this exception class. And here E is a object for the exception class where all the details of these exception are stored. Okay, and one more important point, when the exception is occurred in the try block, the remaining statement or statements won't be executed. Directly, the control search for the except block, which except block can handle this exception. Simply we can say that in the third statement exception is raised, remaining statements or statement won't be executed. That search for the except block. 8th statement, print an error occurred. We are giving the information that an error occurred. After that, I want to print the information which is available in the object E. You can take any name here. In our example, we are using object name as E. Coming to the finally block, regardless of the exception occurrence, the finally block will be executed. Okay, even though the exception occurred or exception may not be occurred. In both cases, finally block will be executed. In finally block, for easy understanding, I am writing a print statement in the finally block like print this is from finally block. Let me repeat again. The suspected code we must write in the try block. when the exception is occurred, that search for the except black. If the except black is available in your program, the except black can handle your exception. Coming to our example, we are using exception class is exception only, where exception is a class name here that can handle all general purpose exceptions. For example, if you want to handle any particular type of the exceptions like divide by 0, there is a dedicated exception class is available with the name divide by 0. Like to handle different type of the exceptions, different exception classes are available. But here our concept is we are writing the code to handle all general purpose exceptions. For that we can use the class exception. The control comes from the statement to except black. The code what you have written in the except black will be executed. In the coming to the finally black, regardless of the exception, the finally black will be executed. Let me execute this again. The program will be executed even though the exception is raised. Now see, there is an exception in our code, but the program is executed successfully. Now see, in the except black we have written an error occurred, and observe we are trying to printing the information of E. What is the information the E has? Division by 0, the type of the exception. Okay, we are not writing division by 0 anywhere in the program. We are getting that information from the E, and this is from finally black. This statement will be printed from the finally black. Observe here, let us change 0 as 2. I am writing 2 here in the third statement. Result assignment 10 by 2. In this case there is no exception. So let me execute once again. Now see, there is no exception. So 10 by 2 is evaluated. The result will be printed 5.0. Very important point here. Whenever there is no exception in the try black, except black will be ignored. Except black will not be executed. It comes direct to the finally black. You can observe now. Finally black information only will be printed as output. And one more change. I changed finally black as a comment lines. Then let us try to execute. What will be happen? Observe now. 5.0. Now here the important point is finally black is optional. If you want to write, you can. Otherwise, without finally black also, the exception code will be executed. Generally, the finally black is used for the cleanup processes like clean the used memory or close the opened files like. I think the concept is clear. Let me summarize. The try black contains a code where an exception might occur. The except black catches any exception that occurs within the try black. And exception is a base class for all built-in exceptions, and that is used to catch all general purpose exceptions. And in our example we use the exception object E that can be stored complete exception information. And finally black is optional, that will always be executed regardless of whether an exception is occurred or not. If this video is useful to you, please do subscribe the channel, like and share the videos. Thank you.